Have you ever wondered why some men disappear from a woman's life, yet remain permanently in her memory? Not because they were the richest, not because they were the most handsome, and not because they chased her harder than everyone else. In fact, it's often the opposite. There are certain men women remember for years, sometimes decades. A single conversation with them lingers in the back of her mind long after relationships end, cities change, and life moves forward. Why? What did they do differently? What invisible signals made them unforgettable? Here's where it gets interesting. Most people assume attraction is about looks, status, or charm. But psychology tells a very different story. Memory is not created by perfection. Memory is created by emotional impact. And certain behaviors create that impact so deeply that the human brain simply refuses to forget them. But before we go further, this needs to be said clearly. This conversation is not about manipulation. It is not about playing games with someone's emotions or interfering with relationships. Understanding psychology should never be used to deceive or harm another person. The goal here is awareness. Human behavior is complex. Emotions are layered. When we understand how attraction and memory actually work, we become more mindful of our own actions and more respectful of the connections we create. True confidence is never about control. It is about presence, integrity, and emotional clarity. With that in mind, let's explore something fascinating about human nature. A woman rarely forgets a man who makes her feel deeply seen. Have you ever noticed how rare that actually is? Most conversations in modern life happen on the surface. People talk, but they do not truly observe. They listen, but they are already thinking about what they will say next. But occasionally, someone enters the conversation differently. He pauses. He pays attention. His eye contact is steady but relaxed. Not aggressive, not wandering, just present. When she speaks, he does not rush to interrupt. He allows silence to exist between sentences. And in that silence, something unusual happens. She begins to feel understood. This is subtle but powerful. Human beings crave recognition on a psychological level, not just compliments, recognition. The feeling that someone truly noticed who they are beneath the surface. When a man responds thoughtfully to something she mentioned minutes earlier, when he remembers a detail most people ignore, when his tone shifts slightly to show genuine curiosity, the brain marks that interaction as meaningful, and meaningful experiences are the ones we remember. But this is where most people get it wrong. They believe unforgettable men are the ones who constantly chase attention, the ones who talk the most, the ones who try the hardest to impress. In reality, unforgettable men often do something much quieter. They create emotional contrast. Pay attention to this. When someone behaves the same way all the time, the brain quickly categorizes them as predictable. Predictable experiences rarely leave lasting memories. But when a man balances warmth with calm detachment, curiosity with independence, engagement with space, the emotional pattern becomes harder to categorize. In a group setting, for example, he may be friendly and attentive, but he is not seeking approval. His body language remains relaxed, his voice steady. When others speak loudly, he does not compete for attention. And strangely, that restraint draws attention toward him. In private conversation, the dynamic may shift. His tone softens slightly. He becomes more observant. There may be brief pauses where eye contact lingers just long enough to create emotional tension. Nothing dramatic, nothing obvious. Just a subtle difference between public energy and private presence. The human brain notices these contrasts automatically. And when the brain notices something it cannot immediately explain, curiosity begins to grow. Curiosity is one of the strongest forces behind emotional memory. But here's another layer most people overlook. Mixed signals are often misunderstood. This does not mean playing games or intentionally confusing someone. It refers to the natural push and pull that occurs when two emotional forces exist at the same time. Desire and caution. Interest and self-protection. A woman may feel drawn toward a man who feels calm and grounded, yet slightly difficult to fully read. Not because he is hiding something, but because he does not rush to reveal everything about himself immediately. His pace is slower. His reactions are measured. He does not overshare personal details simply to create intimacy faster. And paradoxically, that restraint can create deeper intrigue. Here's why. The human mind becomes more invested in things it has to gradually discover. When everything is immediately visible, the mystery disappears. But when pieces of someone's personality reveal themselves slowly through conversation, behavior, and time, the brain stays engaged. Have you ever noticed how people often remember the conversations that ended too soon? The moments where something meaningful was about to be said, but the moment passed. The same principle applies here. Another powerful behavior women remember is emotional steadiness. Imagine two different men reacting to a tense situation. One becomes defensive, raises his voice, or tries to prove himself right. The emotional temperature rises instantly. The other listens quietly. His breathing stays slow. His tone remains calm even when challenged. There is no rush to dominate the conversation. Instead, there is quiet confidence. This kind of emotional stability creates a strong psychological signal. It communicates safety, self-control, and maturity without needing to announce it. And in a world filled with impulsive reactions, calm presence becomes rare. Rare things become memorable. But the most important element of all may be integrity. A woman may meet many charming men in her life, many confident men, many interesting men. But a man who consistently aligns his words with his actions stands apart. If he says he will call, he calls. If he shows interest, it is respectful and clear. If boundaries exist, he honors them without resentment. This level of internal consistency creates trust at a subconscious level, and trust is the foundation of emotional imprint. But let's be very clear about something. Understanding these psychological dynamics should never be used to manipulate another person's emotions. Attraction built on deception always collapses eventually. The goal is not to become someone artificial. The goal is to develop genuine self-awareness, presence instead of performance, calm confidence instead of forced charm, curiosity instead of ego. When a man understands himself, respects boundaries, and interacts with emotional intelligence, his presence naturally becomes memorable. Not because he tried to be unforgettable, but because authenticity leaves a deeper mark than strategy ever could. And perhaps that is the real Stoic secret. The men who stay in people's memories are not the ones chasing attention. They are the ones grounded enough to simply be themselves. So the next time you observe human interaction, pay attention to the subtle signals. Notice the pauses in conversation. Notice the difference between loud confidence and quiet composure. The atmosphere of a room. Because once you see these patterns, you begin to understand something powerful about human psychology. People rarely remember the man who tried the hardest to impress them, but they almost never forget the man who made them feel something real. If you found this psychological breakdown valuable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And stay tuned, because in the next episode, we will explore even deeper insights into human behavior, attraction, and the hidden psychology behind the connections people never forget.